I know there's probably a background that is required, but look, I'll try my best to give an overview of this particular project that we're working on at the Munster Technological University. So, sorry, it's a little bit. So I suppose what we wanted to do when we were developing this particular project is we wanted to develop a program that contains significant work-based learning. And that was the overall ethos of the original proposal. So we wanted a program that would be able to adapt, I suppose, to the newer way that kids are learning. So, take, for example, the days of going to textbooks is certainly changing. If you think about kids now, they have no interest in television channels anymore. It's all YouTube clips. It's all TikTok. So we wanted a program that essentially would develop an engineer, but in a different type of format. And this is what we're looking at. The proposal here is around a project called Rethinking Engineering Education. So, just a very thing here that it is very small. Okay, there we have it now. Okay. So I suppose we are currently preparing students for jobs and technologies that don't yet exist, in order to solve problems that we don't even know are problems yet. So if we are taking that in mind, the constant way that we feel that students need to learn is engage in platforms that allow them to have continuous professional development and to instill that type of ethos in a program where they will be familiar with learning in that particular fashion. Now, everyone who is out in industry at the moment, who is an engineer or a scientist, everyone constantly, if you need to know about something, you will yourself, refer to YouTube. If you have an issue with your washing machine or your dishwasher or your fridge, what do? You go to YouTube, and there is probably somebody who has came across a similar issue that you have yourself, and that they show you a solution, a short clip, how to solve or resolve that issue. So what we want to do is that we wanted to develop this particular format of program that would allow students to engage in that type of learning in a blended format during their actual course of study. So there's a lot of, I suppose, literature regarding, from an international context, about different models of engineering education. And, MIT have a particular learning framework, UCL have a particular learning framework around integrated engineering programs. But the one that we engaged in is something that we came across that was developed from the Charles Sturt University in New South Wales in Australia. And I suppose, their pedagogical aspects of the engineering curriculum is around, embedding content in very succinct micro modules through a learning topic tree. And what you're looking at is using, I suppose, creating that content in collaboration with industry, using embedded technologies, student-centric or centered approach, blended learning. And I suppose, look, the next slide will probably show a little bit more. So what we wanted to do is to develop a program where students would come in to do face-to-face study with us. In Ireland, to do a Bachelor of Engineering, it's a 4-year qualification. And normally that's 4 years of face-to-face study that students engage in. So what we wanted to do is that we were developing a program where we would bring them in with us for 18 to 24 months to do the face-to-face content, but that we would stay away from the traditional face-to-face activity of classroom-based, that we would set them engineering challenges, and that they would do their foundation material, but in a different manner. So following that, after a 2-year period, they would spend the remainder of the time in industry, based in industry, working full-time. And what they would do is that they would engage in their learning through what we call a learning topic tree. So this learning topic tree, if you take the bark of the tree would be the foundation material engineering content that is required, and then the branches and the leaves would be more specialized, specific content that we develop. Each, in the learning topic tree, we have about 1,000 3-hour, very succinct pieces of learning. And when the students are out in industry and they need to know about a particular aspect or topic as part of their job, they then engage in the learning at that particular time. So rather than going and doing, I suppose, a format of learning, which is learning just in case, which is probably what a lot of us have done when we've done our degrees, how much of that do we actually use in our everyday life now, in our current working roles? Probably, 15, 20% at a very maximum. What we want to do is that you learn just in time. So if you need to know about embedded systems, and you need to know about digital electronics or, advanced content, that you engage in the learning at that particular time. And the content that we have developed, is almost like a micro credential, a very succinct 3-hour content that basically will allow the students to direct their own learning as and when they're required to do the learning. So we identified manufacturing engineering as, I suppose, a significant area in Ireland that's relating to a number of sectors. The agri-tech sector, the biomedical sector, the pharma sector, all require manufacturing engineers. So in liaising with these companies and looking at policy that has been developed by local government and nationally in Ireland, that was the choice of program that we developed and that we're developing. This is, I suppose, an ongoing project that really has just been initiated. So, I suppose going back to what we want to do, with this particular program, we want self-directed learning modules to be developed through this learning topic tree, a project-centric learning, performance planning and review. Very important in engineering programs. Reflective practice is something that isn't as common as social science and maybe even nursing programs. But, to bring that in where you will have this reflective piece, significant industry input and work-based placements, and drawing on the best practice of engineering, international world-class engineering education programs. So the key partners in this particular project are the Munster Technological University, the University of Limerick, Harper Adams University in the United Kingdom, and we're also collaborating with the Charles Sturt University in New South Wales in Australia, who actually have developed a similar type of model and structure of program for civil engineering. Okay, so the focus that we're looking at is manufacturing engineering and mechanical. Even we will embed a lot of mechanical activity and a lot of mechanical content into the particular program. We have a number of multinational collaborators such as Lieber and Johnson & Johnson, Costel, McHale, Dairy Master, Astellas, Tricel and Abbey Machinery. So we have a good spread from the sectors that I have outlined: manufacturing, biopharma, agri-tech, biomedical. And then we have our own research centres based in the Munster Technological University and at the University of Limerick, embedded also in the particular design of the program. The uniqueness of what we're trying to do for the program is to now, as well as using succinct content that we will develop as part of this learning topic tree, we also are going to develop succinct, immersive content using virtual reality and augmented reality. So the pilot, as I've outlined, is looking at a number of sectors. We're falling between manufacturing and mechanical at the moment. And that particular focus area will service all of the sectors that we've outlined. We're developing a Bachelor of Engineering. with hopefully in time an add-on Master of Engineering in manufacturing mechanical, and that's the focus area that we're looking at. So as I said, the ready framework that we're looking at, we would say that it's going to be 3 pillars of activity. So the one pillar, or pillar 1, will be innovative, agile, smart learning, experiential learning, work placements, engineering projects, capstone thesis and research. The center pillar of the framework will be around, I suppose, that time management, project management, self-awareness and planning. So this reflective practice piece, the students identify what they need to improve on themselves, and at that point engage in the learning that's required through the learning topic tree. So the overall design thinking of the Ready framework is obviously, look, we have a goal, a problem and a solution. There's a certain process that we follow in developing the content, liaising very closely with the industrial partners that we have identified. And the output of the particular program will be a very much rounded engineer with, I suppose, we feel a great practical experience that will make them more employable when they actually complete their bachelor's degree in engineering. So there's a number of work packages. I'm not going to go in detail to this, but obviously I've already mentioned about a significant differentiator from this program is the development of virtual and augmented immersive content. I would envisage in the next 5 to 10 years, if you think about somebody sitting in front of their PC now, that people will have a headset on their desk also, and that you will immerse yourself between virtual content and the headset, and I suppose physical real world content that you will be engaging. It will be a combination of both, and kids will expect that. If you look at kids today, in 10 years time, they will expect that learning. The days of going to a textbook and starting at page 1 and going to page 500, it's over. That's not the way that kids will learn 10 years, 20 years from now. They expect something different. They expect an immersive experience, and this is what we're going to do. We have in the Munster Technological University a virtual reality and augmented reality suite that we designed and developed. So this, for all the world, has a curved screen. So I like to describe it, when you're immersed in the curved screen, it's like the holodeck from Star Trek. So what we want to do is use this facility that we have in developing immersive content that the students can use while they're out in work placements. Now, this is Professor Ewan Lindsay from the Charles Sturt University, and this is the description of the learning topic tree that they have. So you'll see that the academic staff will guide you through the learning that is required when you're in work placement, and you engage in these 3-hour, very succinct micro-credentials. So they have about 800 micro-modules on the learning topic tree. We will have something similar. Some of it will be very generic, suppose 101 maths. Some of it will be very specific to particular topics. So obviously the industrial engagement in the program, we'll have adjunct roles within the Munster Technological University that will allow industry to develop and deliver some of the content. We have another model where we're going to employ engineering fellows. So I suppose staff from industry who I suppose would be aware of what industrial requirements that they need for students when they're out on placements and when they are actually graduate and go into the work placement. So I suppose just an interesting quote is, Michelangelo didn't attend a semester of lectures. He learned in the studio with a master looking over his shoulder. And I suppose ultimately what we're trying to do is develop a rounded engineer that, will have extension, or I suppose significant work-based experience while they're doing their program that can only be of benefit when they graduate, and developing a model of them interacting with a learning in a particular format that they should be doing throughout their professional career. So look, apologies guys, I literally only got the slides this morning. Unfortunately, Fiona had a family bereavement yesterday. I haven't done justice to the project, but it's a really interesting project. We're delighted to be involved. The project was funded by the HEA, which is the Higher Education Authority in Ireland, under the Human Capital Initiative that they had a call on. We received almost €9 million in funding for a 5-year project, and certainly over the next number of years, we will be developing and disseminating a lot of results with this particular project. So thanks for your attention, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you to you. You give a great presentation. Don't worry, you transmit perfectly that this is a very, I think, also new program, okay? Because you were able to combine very different aspects that I think there will be very important for the future engineering, and also this. So this a very good mix, I think, of something that can be realized in presence and something that has to be targeted on itself, on himself. Maybe there is a question, or let me check. Okay, great presentation, very inspiring. The person is writing this comment.
Very good.
So, yeah. Yes, we are sorry for your colleague, but you were a very good substitution.
Very good.
And yes.
So I suppose if anyone was interested in the model that we're trying to develop, and it's something that they feel that they would like to collaborate on, certainly let us know, and we'd love for as many people to look at this and be involved in this particular model and framework as possible.
Okay, but when did it start, this program?
So it started last September. So
last September.
Yeah. So we're still just finalizing the team. There's 16 staff between the University of Limerick and the Munster Technological University involved. So there was a big recruitment phase at the start, and we're hoping that we will have the program ready to bring in our first student cohort in September 22.
Yes, because I think it's very difficult to organize everything and to manage every step. But I'm sure that you will have a great result. So
Great.
I think okay, that it's time to close this section.
Very good.
Yes, if anybody want to ask the last thing, okay, no, maybe not. Okay, so we thank you again for your participation, and all of the participants, the speakers, the technical support given by the conference, and so also for me it was a pleasure. Thank you again for showing us very interesting things, and keep going to follow the conference also tomorrow. Okay. Roberta, if you want to say something in the conclusion.
I would like just to thank you, everybody, your moderators, speakers, everyone. It was a great session.
Okay, thank you, and okay, bye. Good luck to everybody. We need also luck in this period. Okay, yeah. So go on. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.